Hi everyone, I'm actually going to be doing something a little different in this video, as you can tell by the title. This is more of a test to see how it goes. This is what I'm going to be calling Let's Read, and I am going to be reading some fanfics and me reacting to them, because more often than not, if I'm reading a fanfiction, I will occasionally just go off ranting to myself. I do it so much, it's ridiculous. But how I'm gonna be doing this, I'm going to read them out loud, and I will react to them after I finished it all. I will give a quick summary on how I feel about it. I have asked the author's permission to do so, and I already have two fics that I'm going to be reading. One of them is actually a series, and one of them is, I think the second one's in a series. It's probably in a series, but I'm mostly going to focus on the first one because it is amazing. And these are two fics I have definitely read before, but I love them so much and I have to share them with you guys. I'll probably just do the first part, because the one I'm going to be doing first is The Many Roasts of Endeavour by Sapphiria or something like that. I have no idea. It's got Sapphiria into it. I don't know. But I will definitely be posting a link below so you can read them yourselves. I advise to, because they are fantastic. But the Many Roasts of Endeavour has 11 works in it all, and I actually think that maybe one of them I haven't read yet, which I would be very disappointed in. But I think I have read them all. But this is amazing. I do love it. It was first posted on the 1st of the 11th, 2018. So that was last year. It's almost a year old? No, hang on. Oh, the series began on the 1st of the thing. It was actually first posted on the 11th of January. But The Many Roasts of Endeavour is a series with 11 works. Each of them have a different name, obviously. And the first one I'll be reading is Roasting an Open Fire. And this is the summary used. Shota Aizawa rarely gave out full marks for essays, but he couldn't help it this time. There was not a single fault in this essay. Not one. Especially with all the shade being thrown at the new number one hero in the process. So you can already tell it's going to be a good fic. Anything that roasts Endeavour is God's gift in my eyes. Because it's no secret I hate Endeavour. So I will just get straight to it. So, please work with me. Okay. Here it is. It was actually inspired by Knee Plus Ultra by It's Clyde Bitches. And because I think, oh yeah, I read that one. They had like a chapter where it had like Izuku wrote an essay. So obviously this was inspired by that. It's great. But there is a warning. It's set after the recent manga arc, so don't spoil yourself if you're anime only. So if you are an anime only person, probably best not to listen to this. Because, spoilers, and the arcs get interesting. So don't want to spoil it for any of you guys. So let's get down to business. Alright then, settle down. Shota Aizawa yawned loudly, wanting to end the day quickly so he could snuggle up into his marigold sleeping bag, drown out the horrors of teaching. Almost immediately, the students of Class 1A stood up and sat down. They didn't want him to flash his quirk at them, raising his hair as if it had been caught by a gust of wind. Making sure no one was making a peep, Aizawa continued. Okay, so I have something important to tell you. Almost immediately, the students were on the edge of their seats, shivering at the thought of what this important thing was. Could it be a grueling test of physical strength and endurance? Or would it be an excessive exam of the mind, of mind-numbing questions about what they had learnt in the week? Or was it, I'm setting you essays. Ah, right. We're doing something normal for once, the class screamed collectively, as if they had all endured the same thought at the same time, which they indeed had. With a flash of red from the homeroom teacher's eyes, the class was back in their seats, silent once more. It was unusual to do something as trivial as an essay after everything that had happened in the few weeks beforehand. So, like I said, you'll each have an essay to write before the end of the week. Turning his back to the class, Aizawa picked up a piece of chalk and wrote down the instructions, noting the rustling of bags and paper behind him. Each of you have been set a pro hero to research. I expect citations on your research too. I don't want some bias entering. It was noticeable that his gaze landed on a certain green-haired student, but nobody dared say a word. Also, Midoriya, only 3 pages. You gave me a doorstop last time. I asked for one from you. The other students looked towards Izuku Midoriya out of pity, or just a snigger, as he hid his beetroot face from view as steam rose from his ears. Sir Tenya Ida rose from his chair, with arms stretched up high, eyes hidden by the sheen reflected off his glasses. What should we focus on? What should we focus our essays on? What factors can we talk about when we are assessing our set heroes? Do we have to write about our set hero, or with your permission, can we change it? Aizawa groaned, rubbing his forehead before pulling a juice carton out of his catcher tape scarf before taking a loud sip from it. You should talk about the hero's history in the field, their quirk and quirk usage for starters. Sloppily, he added the necessities to the blackboard using his holographic projector. No, cursing that his holographic projector was on the blink once again to, thanks once again to President Mike. Talking about their feats, achievements, as well as criticizing anything they've done wrong. Or they could have done better, and note, Ida, you can't write about your brother. Again. Ada was the one blushing this time as he lowered himself into his seat, hands nearly karate chopping his desk as they took their place on it. Sir, Yayuzuru raised her arm elegantly, to which Aizawa nodded at her to continue. You said the pro heroes have been chosen for us. What factors have been addressed when selecting a hero for each of us to analyze? The top 5 students of the class. His eyes darted from Yayuzuru to Ida to Bako to Midoriya to Todoroki as he spoke. Have been given harder heroes to analyze with less information or too much information about said heroes. And no, Midoriya, that does not mean more than 3 pages. Midoriya's quivering hand dropped back to his desk. The rest of you have been given a bit more of an easier task, but the heroes chosen are out of your usual comfort zone. You can use any source as long as it's credible, so no Wikipedia, Ashido, Kaminari. The informed students groaned and slammed their heads onto their desks simultaneously. I have that issue with, because I'm at university, no Wikipedia. We have to make sure all of our sources are credible. We have to make sure they're in date. We have to make sure they're by someone professional. We have to make sure that it's best that if they're peer reviewed because someone else has looked over them. It's a long task to do, and it's finding information out of everything on it. It's hard, so I felt really bad for them reading this, but I'm pretty sure I read this before I started university, and now I actually sympathise with them. Anyway, continuing. Sir, Ochako Uraka's hand rose next. How will we find out which hero we've been given? Your cover pages, Aizawa responded, glad someone had finally given him an easy question to answer. They include your name, the pro hero, who will be the focus of your essay. I will hand them out. Don't share with who you have to the rest of the class in front of me, or I'll duck points for getting help. Class dismissed. He pulled the cover pages out of his sleeping bag. I'm pretty sure it's like a TARDIS in there, all like Mary Poppins bag, just endless, fit everything in there, and began passing them around, face down so they wouldn't begin to talk about it yet. Once all the pages were out, he went to leave, only to stop and glare once more at his group of troublemakers. Oh, and yeah, no asking Midori for help. Find your own hero knowledge. As he left and shut the door, he heard the collective groans of about 10 students inside the room. How dumb did they think he all was? In all honesty, Aizawa was dreading marking the essays. What kind of crap would they come up with now? I think out of all the essays, Ashida's and Kaminari's would probably be the funnest, well, the most fun to read. Mostly because I don't think they would do very well, but it would be really funny just to see what they tried. A week had passed, and the teaching staff of UA was enjoying a peaceful, lazy night in the office. Either the heroes were conversing or steadily marking classwork. Recovery Girl had chosen to join them, watching over Toshinori like a hawk after the recent death of Sir Naitai. Which whilst he was hiding it, the old symbol of peace couldn't help but blame himself for the lack of time the two had spent together after his injury from fighting All for One. The others knew that All Might was on a downer and hoped that something would arrive that would brighten up his spirits and make his day. That moment, Aizawa kicked the door open with an unreadable expression. 13 almost toppled over in their seat. President Mike nearly screamed. The building to rubble. Cementos and Ectoplasm jumped into defensive positions. Midnight simply raised an eyebrow. Power Loader shook his head and was immediately joined in the response by Snipe, whilst Blood King and Hound Dog just gave each other surprised yet confused looks. That was until they noticed the wad of papers in his hands. After taking a deep sigh, Recovery Girl frowned at the underground hero. Please, Shota, don't do that again. I don't think my heart or Toshinori's can take it. Hey! Toshinori was almost scowling at the remark. I wasn't scared. You coughed up blood, Toshinori. So? I do that often. Can it? Midnight turned her attention to Aizawa, who was hovering over the staff desks. What's the matter with you now? Did your class give you a major headache? Meh. Not really. After looking closely, the pro heroes could notice that Eraserhead was trying to hold back a beaming grin, which really had them worried. Some of them could have tried harder, but all of them got a passing grade. That's good. Cementos turned his head to the others, eyes narrowing. Right? Just read this. Aizawa threw 15 pages towards President Mike, who raised a finely preened eyebrow at his old friend. Shivering from the glare he received, Hazashi cleared his throat and read aloud. The number one hero endeavor. A true hero? A question mark? Ignoring it for the moment, President Mike continued. At the recent loss of All Might from the community of heroes, Enji Todoroki, aka the pro hero endeavor, took the place as the number one hero, and with it, the spot of the highest honor a hero can have. But does he actually deserve to be known in history as one of the greats? He choked on his spit as he read ahead. The other teacher stared at him, slightly confused and growing increasingly worried by the minute. Whilst a powerful hero in his own right, Endeavor has no concern for anything other than his own overwhelming pride and towering ego that has left a stain on the definition of what it means to be a hero. Oh, it's always that is how you start an essay. Oh my goodness. Give me that. 13 swipes of pages from his hands, which was easy as Mike at this point was at the point of near collapse in a fit of laughter. Throughout Endeavor's 25-year stretch as a professional hero, it has become blatantly obvious that neglectance of care towards surroundings and civilians have come hand in hand with any crime scene he has ever been to. Skills taught to students here at UA, which we have all been reminded time and time again, are crucial in becoming a pro. That civilian casualties and damage to structures with our quirks should be kept to a minimum at all costs. However, in the case of Endeavor, it seems that he was absent during those lectures or chose to simply ignore them as a student. Last year alone, police records state that Endeavor caused 870,000,000,000. I don't know. It's 870,000,000,000. I am bad with numbers. In collateral damage, and sent innocent civilians to the hospital with first, second, and third degree burns, just for standing close to immediate area of his quirk uses, instead of reigning in his power and controlling it as any other professional hero would. Endeavour acted just like a 4-year-old who had just received their quirk and was testing it without a care of what it could mean in the long run. 13 blinked before tipping their head up and eyes were. Is this correct? I've checked all the citations and links. The hero with the erasing quirk replied, a proud grin grew on his face. They are all reliable and within terms set for the essay. 15 pages long too. Powerhouse nodded. Amusement evident in his tone. In the background, Snipe and Ectoplasm was chuckling off their heads at what they heard. Every single hero were visibly pleased with what they heard. So, how does it end? Wow. Even though I told him not to do more than 3 pages, Eraserhead explained, still grinning his head off, the kid went on continuously roasted Endeavour for each of the points he makes, each of them backed up by evidence, and then concludes with a return to why this man doesn't deserve his title, linking back to the main argument of the essay. Ooh, this is a good one. Midnight was past the essay by 13, eyes glinting with uncontrollable glee. It has been known that Endeavour's struggle to become the number 1 hero and the subsequent failure until it was handed to him without the glory of defeating All Might for that title has been passed down forcibly to his son, Shoto Todoroki, who openly refused to use his father's side of his quirk until the end of the UA Sports Festival mere months prior. President Mike mentioned that Endeavour was, and I quote, a doting father, and for giving some words of encouragement, which is quite frankly far from the truth. From my own encounter with Endeavour, I realised he was only thinking about what his wants and his ambitions for his son, not realising it's not what Todoroki Jr. wished to end up on the path towards. His arrogant sense of pride and glory, and an ego that is too big to measure with any known unit of scale known to the human mind at the moment, has not only caused damage to those he was supposed to be protecting, but his own children as well. Wow, someone has done their research. That, or they know one of your recommended students very well. That, or they read the interview made by Shoto Todoroki after the sports festival finished. Eyes were added with a harsh glare before handing the paper over to Toshinori. You finish it. With another cough this time, without the blood, All Might began reading the end. In conclusion, whilst the media attention on Japan's new number 1 hero has receded his daily output of destruction from his mere presence at the scene, the responsibility that comes with the role is The responsibility that comes with the role is a responsibility that all Endeavour could not handle, and will probably never be unable to unless he can miraculously throw away his bruised ego and pride for not beating All Might to that title, his violent nature with trivial matters, and his clear lack of concern for the public that all the heroes swear to protect is highly concerning, considering his now vital role in society as the new beacon of hope until the next symbol of peace can relieve him of his visibly straining responsibility. Whilst his methods are horrific and inconsiderate, the hero killer Stain had a point about Endeavour, which still remains correct to this day. Endeavour is not a true hero. He is not even a remotely good hero. As a student wishing to become a pro hero myself, I wish the presence of a new wave of heroes will send him to a much-needed early retirement. Not for his own good, but for the good of the citizens of Japan. It's true. Just the only way Endeavour will ever be redeemed is that if everyone finds out what he's done, and he's just blacklisted, loses his license, loses everything. I would really enjoy that. I would probably sit around laughing just as it all unfolds, because I really, really hate ideas. Just this essay speaks to my soul. President Mike was rolling over on the floor laughing as 13 was trying to hide their noticeable giggles. All the other teachers were either chuckling or applauding the ambiguous writer of the text. So, you read it all? Snipe asked, shocked when Aizawa nodded. Saved it for the last because it was so goddamn long, but read it all, he replied honestly, snatching back the papers out of Toshinori's hands. The brat made multiple points, each time destroying Endeavour and backing up his previous statements by reiterating. I can't read. Reiterating them? So, what did they get then? Recovery Girl asked, wiping away tears from her own heartfelt laughter. She had never liked Enji Todoroki, even as a student years ago. It has to be in the 90s if you enjoyed it. It was well known that Shota Aizawa rarely, if ever, gave a student full marks. It took going above and beyond to get that kind of grade off Eraserhead, and so far, only 2 students had ever succeeded. I want to know what those 2 students had done to get 100 marks. I just really want to know. Everyone was expecting something in the mid-90s as Aizawa passed the paper back to Toshinori, who skipped them to the marking and promptly sprouted out more blood to the side. 100! For a brief second, All Might was once again in his beefed-up form after pure relief before shrinking back to normal in a matter of moments. Who in the name of peace and justice got 100 marks? Yes, Shota, President Might, no longer dying from laughter, was leaning over his desk to try and pry the information out sooner than later. Who is the savage student you were so proud about? Aizawa blinked to them, held up the piece of paper he had left close to his side since the beginning. A mixture of shocked gasps and beaming grins / smiles of pride arose from the reveal. In the middle of the paper, underneath the name of the pro-hero of fire, who had been heavily roasted to a crisp over 15 pages of porter light, in bold letters was a name. Midoriya Izuku. Young Midoriya wrote that? It was blatantly obvious that Toshinori was proud of the student he doted on the most. A glimmer in his eyes that had vanished after Night Eye's death had returned as suddenly as it left. Yeah, the problem child wrote it. Instead of being grouchy, Aizawa was far from it, looking more awake than he had ever been in his life. I was just looking for a point to detect, but I can't fault it. Your problem child did good, Toshinori, despite me telling him he can't go over 3 damn pages. Well, if he had, then you wouldn't have been reading all that then, would you, Cementos reminded Eraserhead cheekily. Crap, you're right. Eraserhead sent a hand into his scarf and pulled out enough copies of the essay so that everyone could read. Luckily, I have spares. The staff room immediately became a mess of laughter and joys, almost so much that Nezu was slightly worried about his staff. On the other hand, this essay had been very insightful for the principal. Oh, Nezu. It's kind of clear that Izuku is a genius when it comes to heroes and quirks. But they haven't brought that up in the manga for quite a while. I mean, we've seen him make invisible notes, and they brought up his notebook in the Culture Festival arc. But that's it. They don't actually go into details about his analysts, and it's why I like reading fanfictions, because a lot of writers add it in, because it is such a vital part to Izuku's character. And it's why I love this. When Aizawa entered the classroom the day after, he knew that the terrified faces looking back at him were eager to receive their essays back as soon as possible. Normally, he would draw out the tension until Mineta looked like he was about to pee his pants. But he was still on a high from last night, so he decided to say fuck it to the usual and just gave out the assignments immediately. Good job, most of you, with your essays. The homeroom teacher stared back, noticing the more confident members of the class were sitting high and proud of their work. Surprisingly, the one who had been most terrified was the one who had obtained the highest grade in class. Some of you veered, of course, from focusing on the hero to other things like details of fights or sidekicks and agencies over the more vital parts that made those people as professionals. That being said, I am surprised. You all did well. At least you got a passing grade. Some of the class jumped up and cheered, only to be hushed by a piercing glare from Aizawa. I'm giving you your papers back. Those who decided to distract Midoriya to steal his notebook lost points. You did what? A guilty Kaminari, Ashido, Shiro, and Arioma whistled, turning their heads away from the outburst. After an essay like this, just everyone goes to Midoriya. It's a good thing Aizawa knows. But next time, use your own research. It'll be better. It'll better your grade. You finish by handing back the papers alphabetically before returning to the front of the class. It wasn't long before the school equivalent of a dick measuring contest, aka comparing scores, began to reach his ears. Ooh. Momo got 98, Jiro announced loudly, causing the quirk user to blush. Man, that's got to be a record. You were one of the 5 students who got a harder hero. Well, I just applied my knowledge to the hero I was given. Yuzuru replied anxiously. It wasn't that hard. But the hero native? Sato raised an eyebrow. Apart from the fact he was almost Stain's next victim, there should be nothing about him. Which was why I was happy with the challenge. She turned her head to the boy sitting next to her. What about you, Todoroki? I guess Mount Lady was okay. Todoroki's score was 75, was flashed in her direction. The fact she doesn't give much to work with, but I did alright. Lucky, Mineta growled. Saki gave me nothing to work with, and, ow, Tsuyu's tongue whacked him around the head. Say one more bad about the captain. There was a hidden air of malice in her words. I dare you. I won't. Hey, Deku! Uraraka looked up from her score of 63 over to her fellow classmate, who was staring at his homework as if it held the secrets of the world. What did you get? When he didn't answer, Todoroki got up and walked over, peering past Midoriya's bush of hair to read the score. Wow. Just wow. He didn't say anything else, but the shock on his face told it all. Bakugo turned around with a smirk on his face, waving his 87 around with the grace of a fairy elephant. Deku fucking failed, didn't he? The explosion user smugly stated, as if he knew the answer. Shitty nerd wrote too much bullshit. Shut up, Todoroki snarled back slightly at him. Midoriya got 100. Silence reigned over the class until collectively they were yelling in as one unity. What? As it were as some paper put it, what the fuck? To which Izuku Midoriya once again turned red with embarrassment. How? Ida shouted shortly after. Although he didn't doubt his friends and classmates' abilities, that he got far higher than Momo Yaruzuru. The smartest of 1A was outstanding. Kirishima walked over, snatched up Midoriya's paper from the poor, flustered boy's hands and began reading the first paragraph. It wasn't long afterwards that his grin stretched to the very corners of his mouth as he tried to suppress a laugh, but failed miserably. Midoriya threw shade at Endeavor. Within seconds, the class of 1A, the rest of the students of 1A, Bakugo surprisingly included, surrounded around Midoriya's desk, trying to have a read of the essay that basically dissed the number 1 hero from page 1. From first to last page. Aizawa watched, not even trying to hide the smile that was forming on his face. Sometimes, teaching these kids of his was really, in all fairness, actually worth it. Oh, it was that's like the end of the first part, and it is amazing. I love it. Oh, I can't remember how I found it originally, but I know I was having a very good laugh when I was first reading it, and I just kept reading it. So it's definitely a fic if you hate Endeavor and just really want to see him roasted through the entire series. Definitely watching. I'm adding the link below. If you haven't read it, read it. If you have read it, you have to agree with me. It is absolutely hilarious. I love it so much. Oh, I mean, it is also a use. I've only ever seen 2 fics use that idea. Then again, I'm very specific with the type of fics I read, so there might be more out there. If you know any, please link me, because I just need all the roasting endeavor fics. Oh, but that is going to be it for the first video of Let's Read. If you like it, please like the video so I know if I'm going to do another one. If it gets enough likes, I will definitely do more. I will probably get to the end of this series because I just need to share it. It's amazing. But so I don't know how many times I'm going to do this. I mean, if people don't like it, I won't do any more. I'll just leave it at this and let people get on with their lives, and I'll continue just discussing my own fics. But if you do like it and you have a fic you want me to read, link it to me and I will see if I can get in touch with the author to ask their permission. If an author says no, it's no, and I won't be doing them. I have asked the authors of 2 other fics. I am waiting for their replies. If they say yes, I'll be doing them. There are another 2 fics that I love, and I know they're very big. They're from two. I think they're both considered big fanfiction writers. But the other one I will be doing alongside the Many Roasts of Endeavour, which I probably do the second one of these on this one. It's called the Hero Class Warfare, and it's by Rogue Druid. I got his permission to read that, and that is also a fantastic fic, because who doesn't love badass, smart as fuck Izuku? These 2 fics really bring out how smart Izuku is and how he could basically tear apart the hero society from the knowledge he has. I just love it. So, yeah, I think I'm rambling at the end of this, but it's such a good fic. I love it so much. I mean, obviously there was the tiny mistake that they got Power Loader's name wrong, but I know they got it right earlier on, so it's a mistake I've made loads of times, and I can't bother to go back and fix it. But it's great. I love it, and I'm gonna end it there. So good morning, night, afternoon, wherever you are. It's night here. I should get to bed soon. So until next time, goodbye.